The plan to put VAT on private schools private schools generally face a potential crisis as they prepare to absorb this expected 20% VAT charge. And the government estimates that this will generate £1.5 billion to fund state schools. However, private school leaders warn that this could lead to, quote, a race to the bottom, that's the Financial Times' expression, causing financial strain on already cash-strapped institutions, potentially leading to their collapse. And Labour's policy to cut the tax perks for private schools and impose business rates has been met with resistance from various stakeholders. Some schools, such as St George's Preparatory School in Boston in Lincolnshire, lack the financial cushion to absorb these costs, and Mark Whelan, the head teacher there, highlights the disparity between schools that can and cannot manage the increased expenses. And it simply is not true that all private schools are for rich individuals. Many focus their attention on children with special needs and also offer a range of subjects and focuses that are not catered for in the state system. Simon Tyrrell of the Wychwood School in Oxfordshire fears a competitive decline among private schools, and institutions with sufficient financial reserves might avoid fee hikes, pressuring less wealthy schools to follow suit, potentially leading to their financial downfall. In response to the VAT proposal, several schools have pledged not to increase fees. For instance, the Adcote School for Girls and Giggleswick in North Yorkshire have assured parents they will not pass on the additional costs. However, this approach is not sustainable for all of them. One anonymous head teacher has admitted that they could initially absorb part of the increase. The majority of the cost would ultimately be transferred to parents by the decade's end. Neil Pietrick, headmaster of Stafford Grammar, notes that many schools cannot afford to absorb the VAT costs without significantly raising fees, and this school, along with others, has seen a decline in student intake as a result, particularly at the preparatory level, as parents adopt a wait-and-see approach regarding the VAT implications. The Labour Party's proposal is likely to face legal challenges, and private schools, many of which are registered charities, might contest the VAT imposition as discriminatory or argue that it undermines the charitable status that affords them the tax exemptions in the first place. And this will be something that will have to go through the European Court of Human Rights. The outcome of such legal battles could delay or modify the implementation of any such policy. Economically, while the policy aims to generate significant revenue for state schools, it risks driving many students from the private system into the state system, and that influx could strain the public education system, negating many of the financial benefits intended by the VAT charge in the first place. The increased demand for state school places could lead to higher operational costs and overcrowding, reducing further the quality of education. It would be so much better to approach the reforms of education in a more general way and recognise that the education system that we have at the moment doesn't do its job. But I think this is going to be more of the same, with the same approach that has been previously adopted to the NHS, that if you keep throwing money at it, it must get better. That hasn't worked with the NHS, and it won't work with education. More money doesn't mean more success. More money simply means more money for the bureaucrats. If the VAT policy leads to the closure of numerous private schools, the sector could face a dramatic transformation. Wealthier institutions may survive and potentially thrive by attracting students from closed schools, while smaller, financially vulnerable schools, which often do a very good job in the local community, may disappear forever. This consolidation could exacerbate educational inequality rather than encourage educational equality, as only affluent families could afford the surviving private schools' higher fees. In the long run, the policy's success hinges on its ability to balance generating revenue without destabilising the private educational sector. If the transition is managed carefully with adequate support for struggling schools and clear communication with parents, however, the policy could achieve its financial goals without severe negative consequences. If mismanaged, it risks not only the destruction of many private schools, but also the overburdening of the state school system. The Labour Party's proposal to impose VAT on private schools aims to raise significant funds for state education, but it carries substantial risks, and the policy will lead to legal challenges, financial strain on private institutions, and unintended pressures on the state school system. For the policy to be successful, it must be implemented with careful consideration about its broader impacts on the educational landscape in England, and it must recognise that this alone will not improve education throughout our country. We need a better approach. We need an approach that tackles the fundamental problems of the system as a whole. This conveyor belt, this Ford conveyor belt system that we've got, where we go in at one end of the education system and we come out at the other with a degree. Well, what's the point of a degree? The exams are supposed to simply be a measurement of your progress, but instead they are an end in themselves. We have to change that. I think we also have to change the teaching methodology, and we have to make more use of importing teaching resources that take over the entire teaching of a course, so that the teacher in the classroom becomes a monitor, a resource, and somebody who can energize and enable and direct their students.